Episode 1 ended with Stark, Fern, and Frieren saying goodbye to Verbal and going on to their next adventure. Alright, so we start off by seeing an old man asking the party if they could polish the statue of their hero. Frieren asks what their reward would be, and he tells her that it's a spell to scratch the itchy parts on one's back. And then right away him and Frieren shakes hands. Stark just thinks that this is the same request that they pretty much always get. Fern says that the statues of Himmel the hero are really everywhere. Stark then thinks for a bit before saying that this kind of odd job can be fun too. After that he drags up his sleeves and says that he will polish it good. Frieren however tells him that if it's an bronze statue then they will polish it with magic so that Stark won't even have his chance. But as they arrive, they are quickly super surprised as they questions who this guy is in the statue. Frieren asks if they have never seen him, explaining that he is the hero of the South, saying that Himmel was the one who defeated the Demon King. But there wasn't just one hero. Many different heroes challenged the Demon King, and among them, the hero of the South was said to be humanity's greatest. Stark tells Frieren that it all sounds rather exaggerated, but Frieren tells him that it isn't. She tells him that he deserved that title, explaining that the biggest threat to humanity back then was the Seven Sages of Destruction. They ruled strategically important areas of the continent, especially the northern lands. Actually, her party only defeated 2 of the 7 Sages of Destruction. 2 of the remaining 5 managed to escape or disappear, so they couldn't slay them. Fern asks if Aura the Guillotine was one of them, and Frieren says that it's true, saying that it was the hero of the South that annihilated the other 3. The hero of the South made great progress, and in just 1 year, he wiped out the Demon King's frontline troops and reached the northernmost end of the northern plateau. That was the central supply route for the Demon King's army back then. It was there the hero of the South faced Schlacht, the Omniscient, and the other 7 Sages of Destruction. It was said that Schlacht's magic allowed him to see up to 1,000 years into the future, and that the hero of the South knew he was defeated. Even in that situation, the hero of the South took down 3 of the Sages, and slayed Schlacht the Omniscient with his final strike before he fell, saying that many people in this area were freed from the control of the 7 Sages of Destruction. Thanks to him, their faith in the hero of the South is strong, and because they never found his corpse, there are even legends that he and Schlacht the Omniscient are still fighting even now, telling them that the demons he fought were man-eaters, so she actually think they just ate him. And after that she goes to the statue and says that they should get to cleaning it up. With that we get into a flashback where we see the hero of South asking Frieren to join him. However, Frieren tells him that she refuses and that she won't be able to defeat the Demon King. The hero of the South says that he sees, and that he has failed just as he expected. He says that he still doesn't know the words to say that would convince Frieren to join him. Frieren looks at him and says that he is speaking as if he knew that outcome from the beginning, and he says that, as a matter of fact, he did. The hero of the South thinks for a bit before he says that it seems safe to tell her his secret. He says that even if you learn the secret of his magic, she will never tell a soul about it, so he will reveal it just to her. He explains that the reason why he is the strongest is that he can see the future. He tells Frieren that 1 year from now, in the northern plateau, he will lose his life at the hands of Schlacht, the Omniscient, and the 7 Sages of Destruction. He will die without achieving his goal. However, he says that there's no need to feel bad for him, and that even if Frieren were there and joined him, it wouldn't change his fate. After that, he tells her that soon, a young hero will visit her, and he will be the one to save the world. As disappointing as that is for himself, he tells Frieren that she will go on a journey with him and his party, and together they will defeat the Demon King. Frieren looks at him and tells him that she can't imagine that happening though, and the hero of the South tells her that she will see once she meets him, telling her that he will change her life. After that, he just casually says that he will get going now, but before that, he asks Frieren if he can ask for a favor. Frieren asks him what it is, and he tells her that once she meets him, she should tell him this: "I promise to blaze a path to the future. He's humanity's greatest hero, the hero of the South, even if his great accomplishments are buried and forgotten in the shadows of history." And with that, he just leaves. Frieren is sitting there alone. After that, it was just like he said, as after not long, Himmel and his party came and offered her a place in their party. With that, we get back to real time, where we see the statue being in perfect condition and shining a bunch. Frieren looks happy as she looks at the statue and says that he could see the future after all. She then looks at the people around the state and says that these people here remember him and that he's definitely made his mark in history. After that, we get to the northern lands, the Grad Docks domain. There we see the party walking, and Stark says that it's been a while since they visited a large town. Frieren says that they will leave as soon as they have replenished their supplies. Stark asks her why that is and asks if they can't take a break here. He even tries to tempt Frieren by telling her that there's a magic shop nearby. Frieren just asks him if he doesn't know and tells him that time is limited. Stark says that he knows, and after that, Fern says that Frieren is acting rather strange, and Stark says that whenever they visit a large town, she usually tries to stay for at least a few months. Just then, we see someone saying that she must be a Mistress Frieren. Frieren says that she guesses that they were too slow, and the man tells her that the Grad would very much like to invite her to his evening banquet. Frieren continues to walk and tells him that they are in a hurry. However, the man says that she belonged to the party of heroes that saved this domain, and that the Graf wishes to express his gratitude by treating her with his hospitality, which we see that they ultimately gave into, as we see all three of them in the mansion. Stark says that something tastes great, and Frieren thanks Graf Doc for the invitation. However, Fern notices how annoyed she looks. After that, Graf Doc speaks up and calls out to Frieren. He says that he thanks her for her help during his great-grandfather's time. Frieren just asks him how she can help him. Graf Doc says that Frieren wastes no time at all, and he thanks her before saying that the truth is that a demon has stolen a treasured heirloom from him, a sword. Frieren asks if it got stolen again, and Stark asks her what she means by again, but she says that it was stolen when his great-grandfather was alive too, and Stark says that it sure gets stolen a lot. Frieren then gets up and says very well, but that she would like a grimoire as a reward, and Graf Doc just says that he is counting on her. After that, we see them walking, and she sighs, saying that there are a lot of over-assertive nobles in the northern lands, but this Graf's family in particular tends to make unreasonable demands. After that, she says that this time, they seem to know the direction the demon fled, so it's not as bad as before. She says that last time around, they didn't give them any leads at all, and she says that it sure was tough, and that in the end they found their treasured sword at the top of the Schwer Mountains. Stark says that it's wild, and Fern asks why she thinks that a demon stole it. Frieren says that the Doc family sword belonged to a prominent demon, and that it must have some appeal only demons can understand. Fern says that still she is surprised that Frieren accepted his request, and that she was sure that she would refuse. However, Frieren says that she had no choice. She says that it's the same sword Himmel retrieved after all, and that if she refuses, then all his efforts would have been wasted. Besides, Himmel wouldn't have turned his back on them. After that, we see them walking for a long while before they go to a village. Stark says that this village is in a terrible state and wonders if there isn't anybody here. Frieren says that it doesn't seem to be it, but suddenly someone steps out. Frieren asks her if she is from the village, but the mysterious person says that she is just a priestess passing by, saying that this village was demolished by a demon with a sword, and that she was just mourning for the villages. Frieren says that it's most likely the demon that they are after. After that, they go to a bunch of graves, and the person says that this sword-wielding demon has wiped out countless villages and apparently slaughtered every single person in every one of those villages. Fern says that it really is awful, and the person then asks them if they wouldn't stay and pray for them. But just then, Frieren takes up her staff and shoots one of the graves in there. She sees that there's no one buried here. Fern asks why that is, and Frieren says that it's because she's the demon with a sword and asks if she didn't leave any corpses. She says that she killed them so that she could eat them and that she did it to stay alive. And after that, the party is determined to take her down. But it doesn't take long at all, as Frieren just flies up into the sky and then sends a furious blast attack towards her, which ultimately just kills her. We then get a flashback to Himmel and them. Frieren says that this was such a horrible request, but Himmel says that they managed to defeat a demon, saying that this kind of troublesome request sometimes leads to saving lots of people, and that's why he never turns his back on people in need. After that, we see Frieren, Stark, and Fern praying for the villagers who lost their lives before they go back to the village. Graf Doc gets the sword and thanks her so much for retrieving their treasured sword. After that, we see them leave, and Frieren says that they got a pretty good grimoire out of that. Fern says that she is happy for her, and Stark asks her what spell it teaches. Frieren says that it's a spell to turn a red apple green, which is just useless, just like Stark later says. After that, we get to the northern lands and the Etsu Mountains. Here we see the party in a forest, and Stark says that he feels like it's getting warmer lately. Frieren tells him that this area is in a volcanic zone, and this part of the northern lands has a warm climate. Fern adds on and says that it means that they finally reach a hot spring, and Frieren says that she is spot on. She explains that they should be arriving at the next village soon, and to go to a hot spring once they get there. After that, they continue their walk, and Stark says that they have walked quite a bit, and asks if the village isn't nearby. Frieren thinks before saying that it should be here. After that, they spot a cabin in the distance. However, Frieren says that it's just one, and that it gives her a bad feeling. In the cabin, there is a lot of people. Some old man says that this bring him back, explaining that the village was abandoned over 30 years ago, and that the hot springs have dried up too, and adventurers no longer stop by. Fern says that it's too bad, and Frieren says that humans' villages cease to exist in the blink of an eye if they don't pay attention. She then says that it looks like bathing in a hot spring will have to wait, and Stark asks her how long it will take them to reach the next town. Frieren says that it's about a week, which makes both Stark and Fern a bit sad. So Stark asks Frieren if there is no hot spring nearby. The old lady says that she remembers her grandfather once mentioned a secret hot spring in the mountains, but that it was over 30 years ago, and Frieren says that it must be the secret hot spring of the Etwas mountains. Frieren says that she has no clue if it's still around and that it was pretty deep in the mountains. She looks at them and says that she thinks that they will get a hot spring sooner if they just head to the next town. After that, we see Stark thinking intensely, and Frieren asks her what it is. He says that the secret hot springs of the Etwas mountains do ring a bell. He then says that he remembers and tells Frieren that he would like to go there. Fern is shocked, and Frieren tells him to look, telling him not to be fooled by the secret hot spring thing and that she doesn't think that it's worth the time and effort. However, Stark doesn't back down and says that because they have already come all this way, they should check it out. Frieren then gives in and says, "Alright, if he says so." And with that, they leave the cabin and start their walk. After walking for a pretty long time, Frieren says that they should be close to the secret hot spring. Fern tells her that she seems a little reluctant about this, and Frieren says that it's true, and that Himmel and her had to wander around the Etwas mountains to find the secret hot spring too. She explains that Himmel was the type who wouldn't be satisfied unless he explored every nook and cranny of an unusual place. And the journey to this secret hot spring was especially challenging, but they can't reach it without going through an annoying monster's territory. And just then, we see a three-headed dragon being right behind them, and Frieren tells them to get ready. However, the fight is off screen, so I'm guessing that they took it down pretty easily. After that, they finally arrive, and Fern says that it really wasn't easy. Frieren tells them that she told them so, and that it would have been easier to head to the next town, and that it's the secret hot spring of the Etwas mountains. Stark says that it's really shallow, and Fern says that it's just a foot bath, and Frieren looks annoyed as she says that this is why she said that it wasn't worth it. However, Stark still smiles and says that it's pretty good, and that this way they can all get in together, and they then do just that. They look and watch at the view, before Fern asks him what made him want to come here, and Stark says that he heard about this place from his master. We then get into a flashback to Eisen, saying that the secret hot spring turned out to be a foot bath, and that it wasn't worth the effort and energy at all, calling it truly a pointless adventure. But still, he says that it's a strange thing, as every pointless adventure he made with them is a precious memory, and he admits that he can't get enough of that view. Stark says that he guesses that he wanted to see the same view that Eisen saw, and that it really is something. But we then learn that the way back was pretty harsh too, and Stark says that maybe it wasn't worth it after all.